Ms.moar. I usually do this 1-minute script, so when I was told I had a 5-minute script, I got a little overwhelmed. My social media handle is Ms.moar.you. I've been talking about Indigenous issues for a couple of years now. Truth and reconciliation. To share our truth and to reconcile. Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? Our mental and spiritual pains are much harder to solve than physical wounds. A physical wound you bandage or splinter, and it heals. There's no first aid kit, no guidebook, no linear line that heals these wounds. Today, I think of elders like Phyllis Webstad and Geraldine Shingoose that continually share their stories across the country, that expose their truths, that expose their wounds. I know how hard that can be to share your story. My father went to residential school, and he could never talk about it sober. My mother went to day school, and she could never talk about it, but I know it affected her. She couldn't give physical affection like hugs. But I'm thankful that we have today that our survivors are being heard. I'm very thankful that we have this day. Growing up in my education, I went to 15 schools by the time I graduated, and not once did I have an Indigenous teacher. I hope that one day that we can have more language revitalization, more language classes in public schools, because that's one thing that we lost a huge part of. My stepdad that raised me was a fluent Ojibwe speaker. My mother was a fluent Cree speaker, but it was a code language to keep secrets from us. They didn't teach us, they didn't share that. It's important to remember that truth and reconciliation is not just one day. It's not just one story, it's not just one symbol. It's not going to be solved overnight. It starts with those uncomfortable conversations. Friends, with families, with coworkers. I know it's hard, I know it's awkward to talk about. It's even more awkward to live it. Manitoba is central. We have almost a 10% Indigenous population. We're home to 6 of the largest bands in Canada. We have the highest urban Indigenous population, but we're also home to some very sad statistics. We have the highest incarceration rate of our Indigenous people. We have the lowest life expectancy rate, and our children are being apprehended at astronomical rates. Did you know in Manitoba we have almost 90% of Indigenous children in care? Central Canada, Manitoba, Manitoba, we have a history of being a revolutionary province. So I hope one day that we can continue that tradition for our children by being the example of reconciliation for the rest of the country. I see that even now. We're home to the first Bear Clan Patrol. We're home to the First Nation Indigenous warriors. And we're home to the Manitoba First Nations Police Services. Miigwech, hi. Thank you.